A serial rapist on the verge of walking free. We'll preview the important hearing tomorrow that decides his fate.
We have another couple rounds of rain in the forecast before we dry out and sunshine returns to the inland northwest.
The federal government is shut down. We explain the current fight in our nation's capital and how it impacts us right here in the inland northwest. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Tomorrow morning, the so-called South Hill Rapist will likely be released. The state of Washington says it does not have proof that Kevin Coe is a sexual predator any longer and is not fighting his request to be let go during a hearing set for tomorrow morning. KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy looks back at the case ahead of tomorrow's decision.
Kevin Coe has served 4 decades in prison and civil commitment, but it looks like that time will end this week. Though it's not the first time Coe was set to walk free. Coe was believed responsible for upwards of 40 sexual assaults between the late 70s and his arrest in 1981. He ultimately served time for just 1 rape. During his first trial, Coe was convicted on 4 counts of rape. Just 3 years later, the state Supreme Court overturned those convictions because some victims were hypnotized during the police investigation. In a second trial in 1985, Coe was found guilty on 3 charges. Again, many of those were overturned on the hypnosis issue. Coe's single rape conviction led to a 25-year prison sentence, and in 2006, he was set to be released. Instead, the state argued he was still a sexually violent predator. He was involuntarily committed to McNeil Island in 2008. After a jury agreed he was still a danger to the public. 2 separate experts recently concluded Coe, now 78 years old, is in failing health. A Department of Social and Health Services psychologist and another hired by the Attorney General's office say due to Coe's heart disease, limited mobility, and ongoing mental health issues, he's unlikely to reoffend. While the Attorney General's office is not fighting his release, a spokesperson says Coe will be a registered sex offender for life and will likely go to an adult group home. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Today, we learned the identity of the man that deputies say shot and killed an Eastern State Hospital employee after going on a crime spree in Medical Lake over the weekend. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley live in the newsroom tonight with what we now know. Amanda?
The Spokane County Medical Examiner identified 24-year-old Nathaniel Bunch as the suspected shooter. Initial reports say a deputy used deadly force to stop the suspect, but today the Medical Examiner's office confirms Bunch died by suicide. Now, on the night of the shooting, the Spokane County Sheriff's Office says Bunch started a fire in a field outside a Medical Lake grocery store. We now have new video from that store showing the suspect approach the main doors, realize they're locked, and walk away. Now, down the road, he later went into a home with a rifle and fired several rounds. Later that night, deputies say Bunch went to Eastern State Hospital and shot and killed a security guard. Today, the Medical Examiner's office also confirmed that woman's identity as 57-year-old Colleen Bass. And just in this afternoon, the Spokane County Sheriff's Office released the name of the deputy who shot the suspect Saturday at Eastern State Hospital. Deputy Evan Flanagan is a patrol deputy who joined the Sheriff's Office 3 years ago. He was a lateral deputy hire with 6 years of previous experience. Following the deadly shooting last weekend, the Sheriff's Office put Flanagan on administrative leave. Now, we still don't know the motive behind this deadly shooting, but tonight the SEER team continues to investigate what happened. In the newsroom, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
And thank you very much. In other news, a judge ruled the city of Moscow cannot release any pictures of the University of Idaho murder victims' bodies without them being blacked out. Earlier this year, some of the families of the victims sued to prevent those photos from being released. Just this afternoon, the judge said the photos would be an invasion of personal privacy. In July, Brian Koberger pleaded guilty to the murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. He is now serving 4 life sentences without parole. Ja'Cory Buchanan made his first court appearance today in Whitman County. He's accused of shooting WSU football player Sole Falialo at an Apple Cup after party. Buchanan is expected back in court next Friday, the 10th, for his arraignment. He is being held on $100,000 bond. All right, let's talk weather, shall we, with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoud. Jeremy, October is here. We have some cooler temperatures and a chance for some more showers in the area.
Mark, I can even see some of the more ominous clouds down to our south here on the South Hill, but Not looking too bad. We sit at 60 degrees. Those temperatures still slowly dropping. We aren't going to get too cold tonight. And the reason is all of this moisture in the atmosphere. A low still sits off the coast, still throwing those waves of energy at us. And our next round of showers is already moving in down to the south. Seeing a lot of activity down in southeast Washington. Some of that moving out of the Cascades and making its way across central Washington. And we are eventually going to see it. I think a lot of that makes its way a little bit farther to our east. Some of it eventually starts moving in from the west, but most of that kind of just splits us here in Spokane again. Unfortunately, we're just not seeing a lot of the moisture out of this pattern. I think tomorrow another couple of light scattered showers winds up being about it, and then we start drying out. 63 degrees tomorrow. We are back in the mid and upper 60s later this week as sunshine returns to the forecast.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the show. New tonight, we now know the names of 2 men killed in last week's deadly shooting on Spokane South Hill. 37-year-old Terrence Willett and 20-year-old Emilio Vasquez. Today, KREM 2's Christian Garza confirmed that Terrence Willett once held a woman who lives in that house against her will.
While Willett's criminal history is extensive, his relationship to the house here on 34th Avenue goes back 16 years when he pled guilty to locking a 15-year-old runaway girl in his bedroom. That girl is now in her 30s and lives in the house where the shooting happened.
Back in 2009, court documents show Willett pled guilty to unlawful imprisonment and possessing sexually explicit photos of a minor after locking the teen away and using a camera to monitor her. Court documents say he physically harmed her for 2 months before she was found. Willett was then sentenced to 2 years in prison. After serving his time, court documents say Willett landed himself back in prison for holding a pocket knife to his former girlfriend's throat in front of a police officer. He served 22 months for second-degree assault and unlawful imprisonment. After being released, he assaulted a new girlfriend in front of her 9-year-old daughter. Documents say when officers got to the scene, he pulled out a knife. He was later arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Willett's last run-in with the law was in 2017. An affidavit of fact says he was shot multiple times by officers after escaping from Providence Holy Family Hospital, stabbing himself multiple times and then charging at officers with a knife. Willett was charged with 6 counts of assault but was acquitted by reason of insanity. He was later admitted to Eastern State Hospital in 2018. Records show Willett was discharged last year and was following up on his required check-ins when the shooting happened on September 24th. The victim who lives at the house says she initially lent Willett her car and he was returning it when the shooting happened.
The family of the third person involved in the shooting confirmed with me that he is no longer in the ICU and should be heading home soon. The homicide is still under investigation. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Detectives in Coeur d'Alene are investigating who attacked a woman in her bed as she slept, leaving her with life-threatening injuries. Investigators say Susan Stratton's injuries are so bad, doctors moved her into hospice care and plan to treat the case as a homicide. Detectives are asking anyone who may have video near Skyline Drive from the early hours of September 18th to please share it with them. They believe the suspect traveled on bicycle from the Athol area to Coeur d'Alene between 8:55 p.m. on September 17th to 4:50 a.m. on September 18th. If you have any information, you are asked to call that number right there at the bottom of your screen. All right, coming up on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight, local war veterans flew to Washington, D.C. today. We look at the hero's journey to the Capitol and what they'll be doing there. And the federal government is shut down. We look at the fight in D.C. and how it impacts us right here in the Inland Northwest.